There's one thing that terrifies narcissists more than rejection, more than abandonment, and they will never admit it. Carl Jung discovered this fear decades ago, and it explains why narcissists become desperate, even dangerous, when you start to heal. In the next few minutes, you'll learn exactly what this fear is and the 3 dark tactics they'll use to drag you back under their control.
Now let's dive into Carl Jung's discovery and why this fear is so deadly for narcissists.
Carl Jung, the renowned psychologist who opened a new era in analytical psychology, once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." At first glance, this quote may seem simple, but when applied to real-life situations, especially in relationships with narcissists, it becomes a daunting challenge. Over more than 100 years of studying human psychology, Jung explored an essential concept, the shadow self. This represents the parts of ourselves that are denied, fears, insecurities, selfishness, and the aspects we refuse to confront or allow others to see. For ordinary people, recognizing and accepting the shadow within is a path toward maturity. But for narcissists, this shadow is not just denied, it is concealed behind a mask of power. A narcissist is not merely someone who likes themselves. They are individuals who construct their entire identity around controlling and manipulating others to hide the deep wounds in their soul. Imagine a house with a rotting foundation but an ornate exterior. That is the narcissist. Inside lies insecurity, fear of abandonment, and feelings of unworthiness. Unable to face this, they create a mask of confidence, pride, success, and authority. To maintain this mask, they need a constant source of fuel, the power to control others. For narcissists, control is not just an action, it is their means of survival. When they can dominate others, they feel valuable, strong, and safe from harm. But if this control is threatened, they spiral into crisis. You may have experienced this. When you love a narcissist, you constantly feel like you are walking on eggshells, carefully watching every word and action so as not to anger or alienate them. You always feel at fault, as though you must try harder while they are always right. This is a sign that you are caught in the cycle of control. Narcissists need you to be weak, dependent, and seeking their approval, because when you are weak, they are strong. When you need them, they feel important. Carl Jung revealed a chilling truth. A narcissist's greatest fear is not rejection or abandonment. What they fear most is the moment their victim becomes stronger, mentally and emotionally. Imagine that you begin to feel more confident, recognize your worth, no longer accept their control or manipulation, and set clear boundaries. At this point, to the narcissist, you become their greatest threat. When you are weak, they can easily impose their will. But when you reclaim your strength, they no longer hold power over you. This is their nightmare. Carl Jung called this moment the Power Inversion Crisis, a highly tense and dangerous phase because the narcissist will do anything to pull you back into a dependent state.
Imagine you are Sarah, a woman who has been in a relationship with Mark, a narcissist, for 5 years. During that time, Sarah almost completely lost her personal identity. She always tried to please Mark, feared his anger, and apologized even when she had done nothing wrong. But one day, Sarah began therapy. She learned that her worth did not depend on Mark. She began to set boundaries. I will no longer tolerate being insulted. I need time for myself. She no longer feared Mark's outbursts as she once did. And then, Mark realized he could no longer control Sarah. What happens next? Mark enters a power inversion crisis. He will do everything he can to regain control, criticizing Sarah for having changed, evoking memories of their happy past when she was easily manipulated, or even creating false crises to drag her back into the old cycle. Understanding the power inversion crisis not only helps you protect yourself, but also shows you that their anger, criticism, or sudden vulnerability is not because they love you more. It is because they are terrified of losing control. Carl Jung used the term power inversion crisis to describe the moment power in a relationship shifts. Previously, the narcissist held the advantage. They controlled your emotions, actions, and even your thoughts. But when you begin to heal, recognize your worth, and set firm boundaries, the balance of power reverses. This is one of the most intense and dangerous phases of a relationship with a narcissist, because for them, losing control is not merely losing a person, it is losing the only anchor that hides their inner emptiness. Narcissists are fundamentally unable to confront their inner shadow self. To survive psychologically, they need you to act as a mirror so they can project their insecurities and weaknesses onto you. When you are weak, they feel strong. When you depend on them, they feel valuable. But when you become emotionally independent and no longer susceptible to their manipulation, their mask of power is threatened with collapse. This is not simply anger or hurt from rejection. This is their deepest fear. Picture someone standing on the edge of a cliff, clinging to a branch to survive. That branch is their control over you. When you let go, they feel as though they are plummeting into a void, forced to confront the truth about themselves, weak, insecure, empty. This explains why the stronger you become, the more extreme the narcissist's reactions. It is not love, it is panic over losing power. Carl Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." For narcissists, the inner shadow they deny manifests outwardly through control, criticism, and manipulation, especially visible during the power inversion crisis. To protect yourself, you must recognize the signs early. Here are 5 of the most common. They begin tightening control over every aspect of your life, where you go, who you meet, what you do. Every decision you make is scrutinized and judged harshly. At the same time, they constantly criticize your positive changes. You've become so selfish. You're too confident, like you think you're better than everyone. You're cold now. You don't care about anyone. This is the tactic known as strength shaming, making you feel ashamed of your own strength. They want you to doubt your progress and revert to dependence. They may suddenly appear weak, insisting they are the ones most hurt. "I only want what's best for you, and this is how you treat me? Everyone has abandoned me, and now you too?" This is a form of emotional manipulation targeting your compassion. They want you to feel guilty for prioritizing yourself. They bring up happy memories, moments when you were easier to control. "I miss the old you, so gentle and cheerful. We were so in love back then, and now you're different." This is nostalgic manipulation, manipulating through nostalgia. Their goal is to make you believe you've changed for the worse, so you willingly return to the old dynamic. When all else fails, the narcissist will unleash their ultimate weapon, manufactured vulnerability. They may fake illness, a financial crisis, betrayal by others, always at the moment when you are the strongest. Carl Jung warned that most of these crises are carefully calculated, designed solely to trigger your compassion and make you break your boundaries just this once. Narcissists in the power inversion crisis can become extreme, alternating between rage and desperate pleading. This volatility can leave you disoriented and more likely to lose your inner stability.
Returning to Sarah's story, when she began therapy, she became more confident, learned to say no to insults, and made time for herself. Mark, the narcissist, immediately sensed he was losing control. At first, he criticized Sarah for being selfish and not loving him anymore. When that failed, he reminisced. "I miss when we first met. You were so sweet and happy." But Sarah was unmoved. Mark then resorted to his final weapon. He called her at midnight, saying he was in a financial crisis and didn't know what to do. He cried, begging her to help just this once. If Sarah hadn't recognized this as manufactured vulnerability, she could have been pulled back into the old cycle. But thanks to therapy, she understood that helping Mark at the cost of her boundaries would only destroy the progress she had made. This phase is like a psychological battle. Narcissists will unleash every tactic to drag you back. If you are not vigilant, you may fall into guilt and self-blame, believing you've changed for the worse, when in reality, you are progressing, undoing the hard-won boundaries you set, and returning to the cycle of control, often worse than before. Carl Jung once reminded us, "What you deny about yourself will control your life from the outside." If you do not clearly recognize these manipulations, you will continue to be trapped in the cycle. To escape the power inversion crisis, you must clearly identify the tactics they are using. Reread the signs above and ask yourself, does this person truly need my help, or is this a ploy to pull me back into the old dynamic? You must maintain your boundaries. A simple, firm response like, "I cannot do that for you," can save you months of manipulation. Remember why you began your healing journey. You once lost your identity, value, and happiness. Do not let momentary pity undo that. Seek support from a therapist, a support group, or a trusted friend. This phase is intense and can easily shake you, so having someone to remind you and stand by you is invaluable. Carl Jung emphasized, true strength does not come from being immune to manipulation, but from the ability to recognize it and remain steadfast in yourself. In this phase, you will be tested like never before. But remember, every time you choose to protect your boundaries, you are dismantling the narcissist's illusion of power. After understanding the power inversion crisis, you realize narcissists will not stand idly by as they lose control. They will escalate, using increasingly sophisticated tactics to draw you back into dependence. Carl Jung warned that those who deny their inner shadow often live through control and manipulation, and when their power is threatened, these tactics become relentless. Strength shaming. When your strength becomes a crime. They don't want you emotionally independent because that means they no longer control you. They may say, "You've changed. You're not the same anymore. You're selfish now, only thinking about yourself. You're too confident. Do you think you're better than everyone else?" These statements target your progress. Their goal is to make you doubt yourself and believe self-love is wrong. Strength shaming exploits a deep fear, the fear of rejection or being judged negatively. Especially if you've been in toxic relationships before, you may be easily swayed by such accusations. Narcissists know that if you start doubting your value, you'll try to prove you're still good and return to appeasing them. The most important thing is to recognize this tactic immediately. Remind yourself, setting boundaries is not selfish, it is self-protection. Confidence does not mean arrogance, it is a sign of healing. You do not need to prove your worth to the narcissist. For example, when they say, "You've changed, you don't care about me anymore," you can calmly reply, "I have changed because I learned to love myself. This does not mean I don't care about others, but I will not allow myself to be hurt."
Nostalgic manipulation, when the past becomes a weapon. This tactic evokes memories of a happier past to make you doubt your present changes. They might say, "I miss the old you, so gentle and happy. We used to be so happy. Now everything is different. You used to care about me so much, and now you only think of yourself." They will choose the happiest memories, the moments you were most easily controlled, to remind you.
This can make you feel as though you've changed for the worse and push you to return to the past. Memories are one of the richest sources of emotional manipulation. When you recall happy moments, you may forget that the past was also full of pain. Narcissists exploit this weakness to distort your perception. Carl Jung once wrote, "The human mind tends to remember what it wants to believe, rather than the truth." That is why nostalgic manipulation is so dangerous. It makes you question reality. Remember this: the past will never return exactly as it was, and you do not need to revert to the easily controlled version of yourself. When they say, "I miss the old you," you can respond, "I also cherish those memories, but I am becoming a better version of myself. I cannot return to the version that left me hurt and lost." Setting boundaries around nostalgic manipulation will help you maintain your strength. Manufactured vulnerability, when your compassion is exploited. This is the narcissist's most potent weapon. When all else fails, they will create or exaggerate a crisis to make you feel compelled to help them. For example, suddenly claiming they are seriously ill and need your care, reporting a financial disaster, pleading for you to help just this once, or fabricating family or relationship tragedies so you feel you must be there for them. Carl Jung called this the exploitation of compassion, and he warned that it can destroy all the healing progress you've made. It targets your best qualities, love and compassion. Seeing someone you once loved or cared for in crisis can make you feel responsible for rescuing them, even at the cost of your boundaries. Narcissists know this and exploit it. They might say, "I know you're not heartless. If you really loved me, you wouldn't abandon me now. Just this once, I promise." First, remember, their crisis is not always real, and even if it is, you are not obligated to sacrifice yourself to save them. Carl Jung taught us about differentiated compassion, compassion with boundaries. This means you can empathize with someone's pain without allowing yourself to be exploited. Ask yourself, does helping them now help me become more of who I truly am? Or am I breaking my boundaries just to please them? For example, when they plead for financial help just this once, you can say, "I understand you're struggling, but I can't help in that way. Can you find other resources?" This is not being heartless. This is protecting yourself from being dragged back into the cycle of control.
Beyond these three main tactics, narcissists may use additional tactics to amplify their manipulation. Gaslighting, making you doubt your own reality. Triangulation, pitting people against each other. And silent treatment, withholding communication as punishment. These all aim to destabilize you and make you dependent again. Carl Jung once said, "True strength is not about never being manipulated. It is about recognizing manipulation and staying true to yourself." Every time you spot a tactic and refuse to fall into the trap, you dismantle the narcissist's illusion of power. That is the greatest victory. Now you can see that these tactics are not random. They're part of a psychological system designed to keep you trapped. Carl Jung emphasized, you cannot change other people, but you can change how you respond to them. True strength does not come from defeating the narcissist, but from choosing to live by your values, no matter what tactics they use. This is the foundation of every self-protection strategy we will now discuss. Personal boundaries are the limits you set to protect your mental, emotional, and physical health. They are like fences around your home. No one enters unless you allow them. For narcissists, boundaries are what they hate most because boundaries limit their control. But for you, boundaries are your most powerful weapon. Identify clearly what you will and will not tolerate. Write down what makes you feel hurt or devalued. For example, being yelled at, having your phone monitored, being insulted. Then communicate your boundaries clearly and calmly. I will not tolerate being yelled at. If it continues, I will leave the conversation. And most importantly, act consistently. When the narcissist crosses the line, you must enforce the consequences you've set. Narcissists will try every tactic to break your boundaries: criticism, begging, promises. But every time you stand firm, you affirm your self-worth. Carl Jung once wrote, "No one can make you feel inferior without your consent." Boundaries are how you refuse to let others violate your peace. Jung also believed that compassion is a precious quality, but without discernment, it can become an open door for narcissists to exploit. Differentiated compassion is the ability to empathize with another's pain without losing yourself. For example, you can listen to their struggles with money, but that does not mean you must lend them money, especially if it violates your boundaries. To practice differentiated compassion, separate their emotions from your own. Ask yourself, is this feeling theirs or mine? If it's a feeling they're creating to make you feel guilty, return it to them. Ask questions about your choices. Does this action help me become more of who I truly am, or does it pull me back into the old pattern? And most importantly, allow yourself to say no. Saying no does not mean you are heartless. It means you respect yourself.
Narcissists often use subtle tactics so you won't realize you're being controlled. Therefore, the first step in self-protection is to name every behavior clearly. For example, when they deny what you saw, say, "This is gaslighting. I know the truth, and I will not doubt myself." When they use silent treatment, remind yourself, "I see you are using silent treatment. I will not chase after you to prove my worth." Naming it is not about teaching them a lesson. It is about keeping yourself grounded. Escaping the narcissist's cycle of control is not just about setting boundaries with them. It is about rebuilding your self-worth and inner strength. Reconnect with yourself through therapy, journaling, and mindfulness. Build a support network. Narcissists often isolate you so you depend on them. So, create a system of friends, family, or support groups to remind you of your value. Set personal goals. Start small, like reading a book you enjoy, taking a new class, or focusing on your health. Small victories will help you rebuild your self-belief. One of the biggest illusions that can pull you back into the cycle is the belief that you can change or save the narcissist. Carl Jung once wrote, "No one can change unless they are willing to face their own shadow." Narcissists are rarely willing to do that because it requires them to remove their mask of power and face their deepest wounds. You may love them, but you cannot change them. The only thing you can do is protect yourself and live according to your values. Carl Jung left us with a famous quote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." This means that every time you choose yourself instead of falling into manipulation, you are moving closer to true freedom. Narcissists may try every trick to pull you down, but remember, they fear your strength. They fear you recognizing your worth, and they fear losing control over you. Every time you maintain your boundaries, you are proving that their power is nothing but an illusion. True strength does not come from never being hurt, but from knowing how to heal and rise each time you are tested. You can start small. Write down 3 things you will no longer accept in a relationship. Find a trusted friend to talk to when you feel uncertain. And each morning remind yourself, "I have the right to be myself and to be respected." These small steps, over time, will build an unshakable strength. Carl Jung left us with a timeless message. True freedom comes from within. No one can give it to you, and no one can take it away unless you give it up. You may have spent years trapped in the narcissist cycle of control, but right now, you can choose differently.
You can choose to maintain your boundaries, love yourself, and refuse to let your compassion be exploited. Each time you do that, you are declaring, "I am no longer a victim. I do not need anyone's approval to know my worth. I am myself, and that is my greatest strength." Remember, narcissists only have power when you believe you are weak. But when you realize that your true strength lies within you, no manipulation can ever conquer you again. This is not just a way to escape a toxic relationship. This is a liberation of your soul, a journey to step into your own life, free, strong, and full of value.
And remember, you are stronger than you think, and you deserve to live free from manipulation. If this video helped you, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Share it with someone who needs to hear this message today, because you might just change their life. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you won't miss the next video where we'll dive even deeper into how to protect yourself and reclaim your power once and for all.